All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Chrissy from the Hathor Dance Studio based in Sydney, Australia. I'm here live with Jillina from Los Angeles. And welcome. Yay.
Hi, guys. G'day, mate.
Hey, good day. Welcome. So it's your LA evening, 7 p.m., but it looks very, very bright still. And it's our 12 p.m. here in Sydney. It's lunchtime, the day in the future, Jillina. We're in the future.
Yeah, it's so nice. I'm glad we could coordinate, but we're always in a different time zone, but we make it work. Yeah.
We make it work. Absolutely. I think now with this whole quarantine lockdown, I'm becoming really really on with the world time differences. So I can I know, okay, Jillina's asleep now. No, I can't talk to her. No. Okay, Jillina's having breakfast now.
Last night we were chatting and I said, oh my God, no, it was my morning. I said, isn't it 3 o'clock in the morning? Like, and I told you, go to bed.
I know.
Crazy hours, which works.
I know, but I know you wake up. I know that you wake up super early in the morning, and I know. Okay, I know. Oh, it's Jillian's 6 o'clock in the morning right now. She probably will be waking up, so she'll probably have breakfast. So I'll give it to like 8:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then I can do business talk. I don't want to spoil your. I know your morning ritual. So we spoke about your morning ritual last time we were live, and today we want to talk about your upcoming workshop that's happening on July 19th at 10 a.m. Sydney, Australia time, or 8 a.m. Perth time. Yeah.
Wake up early, get your coffee.
Wake up early, Perth people. Yeah. So and it will be your 5 p.m. Correct?
Yes. 5 p.m. It'll be 5 p.m. here, so the sun will be just getting close to. Not sunset, well, summer, so it's staying later, but it'll be really nice. Right. The lighting will be really nice out in my studio. So happy to have you guys in my home, and we're going to be doing something really different. I'm doing fusion, which I'm excited about because I don't teach that very often. I produce my shows and I do a lot of those type of work, but in my teaching, in my workshop, in the circuit, I rarely get to teach these subjects. So it's kind of exciting for me to just reach into my toolbox and pull out different things to share with you guys.
And I wanted to ask you, Jillina, because you do such amazing theatrical works and you've been doing them for, well, even before Belly Dance Evolution 10 years ago, you had your troupe, and you still have your troupe.
Yeah, I still have my troupe.
That's right. So you were always doing these amazing choreographies. I wanted to ask you, because with Belly Dance Evolution, you bring in a lot of other dance styles. So I wanted to ask you, do you have a lot of multidisciplinary dance styles that you've trained in? I know that you were were you a hip hop dancer in Japan? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was crazy about hip hop. I would show up to every class and every activity, and videotaping the Fly Girls, because that was my generation. So I would, like, on VHS, I would videotape it and I would slow it down and try to learn all the steps through slow motion of VHS videos. So
that's right.
I definitely trained in hip hop and jazz and contemporary, and I was never great at ballet, but I took ballet because I wanted to be a stronger dancer, and I knew that was really important, especially when I was going in auditions. It was like the girls would be turning circles around me. So I showed up for that, but it wasn't really my strength. And so those tools have definitely served me in my creations and my fusion pieces. And with my dance company, when we were doing Sahlala, that does a lot of the corporate events and wedding circuits. So I mixed the Egyptian style, the folkloric style, and then we do a salsa number and this kind of number, mixing those disciplines in.
And do you, because now with your Evolution Studios that you have in North Hollywood, you have such, when I was there last year, it was just packed with people. Obviously, it's not so much now, but when things hopefully go back to normal soon, when things, restrictions, and maybe let's scratch 2020 out of the circulation,
Yeah, we're
and
just gonna skip that. Yeah, I
let's
mean,
just skip.
it's
We'll
we're
take
based in Hollywood, so
Yep.
I definitely it is not an academy. My studio has 6 rooms, and we're a rehearsal facility. So I have dancers and choreographers that come in to work on their content or their tours, or they're doing their classes. They're like big classes there. So I have access to a lot of, and that's something that I feel very fortunate to have. So in a lot of my productions, I do a lot of collaboration. So I bring in different choreographers to participate, collaborate, and give like a different perspective of an idea. And that's what I think is one of my recipes to success, is being open to the collaboration process. So the vision, every time you see a Belly Dance Evolution production, there's a different flavor in each one, because I have my stamp, but I've also brought in different choreographers of different styles, and to bring in just that palette, to change the palette and bring in something refreshing.
That's right, and that's it's so incredible that you have the platform to do that. And I wanted to ask you, I think we touched on that last time, but how do you go about choosing a choreographer to collaborate with?
It comes in different ways. Sometimes, like one of the last choreographers for the Jungle Book. So there's a woman in Argentina named Daisha, and I was going to a festival there, and every time her group would perform, they would blow out the competitions, and just the innovative style of choreography. I was like blowing my mind. So I always had her in the back of my mind. But we weren't that close, and I wasn't sure. I just got the idea. I'm going to call her up. I'm going to ask her to come out and work on. She helped me with The Wizard of Oz.
Right.
And it was a beautiful collaboration. It was like there was just a really great flow in the studio. And with Jungle Book, I reached out to Shannon. Shannon is a multidisciplined dancer. She does like professional Tahitian, Bollywood, Indian dances. She performs in like some big companies around, touring around the globe with that. So I brought her in to bring in some of those elements into the show, because she's really like an expert in those. And so that was really, and I know her because she also danced with Sahala. She's also a belly dancer.
Oh, wow.
So
Right.
I knew her. She'd come in and out of tours and work with us, and she'd go on tour, and we'd all miss her. And she lives here, so it's somebody local who I know her work, and I know her work ethic. But something to be said about that. I think that I always, like to take chances on people and give those opportunities. And I feel so grateful to be in a position that I can offer somebody a position, not just to, as a performer, but also as a contributing choreographer, to add to their resume and create some of that income. It's not always magic in the studio. I brought in choreographers before, and we just didn't flow. Like the vision didn't come together. And honestly, that's okay. But I always want to be willing to take a chance on somebody. And even somebody I don't know well, like, let's get in the studio. Let's see what happens. And most of the time it flows, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. It could be a little bit awkward, but you just move on. And okay, you bought me the t-shirt Zippity Doodah. So
Right.
I think, Christy, you can resonate with this. I work at a very fast pace. So also in the choreography, I like to try things, move it. Let's do it again. All right, skip that, move on. So that process is also at a fast pace. So you got to keep up with that, and hopefully that flows.
Yeah. So how long would you say you would be in a studio with a choreographer to nut out an idea for a show? You say, okay, I've got Phantasm, I've got this idea. Now I've got, this piece of music. And that's another question that I wanted to ask you. Do you say, okay, I need to have a kind of set choreography by the end of the week, or in 3 days, or how do you plan for that? Because I know that you're very planned, you're very detail oriented, and you have asset plan, and a lot of artists do that. They have like a planning board, and okay, in a week we have to nut this out. So is that how you work?
Yeah, there's definitely like a deadline that we've got to get it done, and usually like I'll have like rehearsal week, and most will have like a skeleton of pieces. We'll have a concept and ideas. We'll know what kind of costuming we're going to have. So that would also help the choreography, because those things have to also come together. If you're going to be doing high kicks, you can't have a straight skirt. So
Yes.
just, I learned that the hard way, by the way.
Right.
I
We want to know
this is a great choreography, and then we got the costumes. I was like, fail. So that's why I want to share these stories, because you guys out there who are working on your projects, you can hopefully learn from my mistakes, because I've had epic successes and I've had the epic fails. So there's a little bit of a checklist to get through, and costuming does relate to what, maybe you just have a vision and you go, well, I know that I'm going to have a full skirt for that choreography. So you tell the costumer, you tell your team, that's what we're going to do. But doing it in opposite, sometimes it doesn't always function that way. Typically, I would say like in an 8-hour day, maybe we could knock out like 3 minutes of choreography, maybe less, maybe more, depending on what it is, because sometimes you create the concept and choreography, but what about the bodies? What about the people that I got to put it on and make all those formations? So what I've done is I have part of my process over the years. What I've done is I do these community classes, and I have after class I call stay and play. And the only rules for stay and play is there is no rules. You just have to have an open mind and an open heart, and be willing to try anything, and to be willing to fail and succeed and try. So I can put people in different positions, and I can test out a formation or an idea. So that allows me to do things over a longer period of time without that feeling of an emergency.
Okay. I wanted to show some of your staging ideas here. So we've got a lot of people on stage. We've got something happening. The pinwheel, which you're very famous for. And let's talk about the pinwheel after we watch this. So you've got things happening here on the downstage right here. And I mean, you've got a lot of bodies on stage right now, and it just looks clean. It looks balanced. It's just, it just looks very neat. And there's a story happening in the front here.
Oh, this is so fun, seeing Australia again.
So this is Phantasm in 2019, last year. That's right. And that's Ruslan doing his lovely pirouettes.
Oh my God.
And here comes another circle.
Oh, this is fun because I'm interwinding. One group is going one way, the other group is going the other way.
That's right. That's right. We can stop there. Yeah. So let's talk about the pinwheel, because the pinwheel also happens in Dark Side of the Crown. Do we have? Let's have a look. Let's have a look if Tristan can get.
Those pinwheels are hard. That we spend a lot of time on that in rehearsal, because if it's either on or it's not. It's like no in between. And you know my expression. That looks like a banana. It's like, I need a line. That's a banana. Stop making a banana.
Yeah, that thing is coming now. We're trying to get the 16 dark side. Yes, that one. Yeah, go from there. Yeah. So it comes out. We're gonna put on the dark side.
Cool. Thanks for pulling these pieces up.
We didn't have time to put it all. It would have been nice to put it all together. And then I want to share the passing of the sword, because that's also very. It looks easy. It looks so easy.
That was so hard. Yeah, that's so hard for people. Yeah.
It's really, really hard. So I wanted to share that, because people watching it from the theater, I don't think they can know what happens in rehearsal time. So this is Dark Side of the Crown.
Okay.
It's Sydney 2014.
Oh yeah. We did
Right?
that pinwheel with a chasse step, I think. Ah.
With that's pretty good.
Oh yes. And look, they're like holding their hip scarves. They're doing it. I added like a Haliji step.
That's right.
That's right. It was the Haliji step that felt, yeah. That was clean. Good job, Australia. Good job.
You're right. And then let's fast forward a little bit because here comes the boys. But then we go into it's coming up. Then we go into the sword. And then I wanted to talk about your very unique way of using props that not necessarily huge props, but they're just props and to create an amazing
Here's the pass that
storyline.
you're talking about, Chrissy.
That's
so
the
we're
part.
doing like a front back step, and with each step we're like passing the sword around because it's like Dark Side of the Crown. It's like the murder is about to happen and nobody knows who has the weapon. That's kind of like the story behind that scene, if you don't know. So we see the queen and we see the sword being passed around in a circle. She disappears and then it's the death scene. So it's like, who did it? It's a who done it kind of a show. And we see
this
that.
Is so cool. This moment right now where she picks up the sword and just the red veil to signify the blood and the stabbing.
Yeah. Heather's a wonderful actress too.
It's just unreal.
This is so great seeing this again.
Yeah. Okay, let's stop the strobing because we don't want to give anyone any of the strobing part.
Yeah. So the pinwheels, when you have a lot of bodies, it can be like such an effective way to like sweep the whole stage because you can really cover the whole stage. The couple of things though, you got to have depth on the stage and also at rehearsal, because sometimes we rehearse in a very shallow space, but in the theater it's going to be quite long. So you kind of have to, you really have to be patient with it because sometimes the rehearsal space is not going to be the same. And just a tip for the choreographers out there, when you're going to make a pinwheel, everybody has to look to the center. So that's super important. You have to like literally like take your chin over the shoulder completely and totally profile with the face, because that's the only way to see where you're going and line up, that you have to make sure you're not going. So that's a little tip for the choreographers. But it's definitely something that I personally, I love to see it on the stage. And that's why I like to put it into my choreos.
Yeah, it's so effective. So effective. So I have a question here from Virginia from Melbourne.
Hi, Virginia.
And she's an amazing artist in Melbourne, and she always has the best questions. So she's given us quite a few. But let's start off with this. Your initial inspiration for shows, is it an auditory avenue, for example, simply a piece of music, color, movements? What do you imagine?
I'm a very visual person, so I'm just going to instinctually answer right away. A visual, a picture in my head, or a color or an idea. So recently I was asked that question about the Jungle Book. Why did I choose the Jungle Book? And we had all these different stories coming through, like Arabian themes or this theme or, other shows. And I think the thing that stood out for me with the Jungle Book was the visuals of it. I pictured like a jungle, greenery, animals, like this kind of like a scene unlike anything I've ever done before. So I've always trying to reinvent myself and give like a fresh new look, a fresh perspective of the Arabian theme. Now we're going to be in the jungle because it's belly dance. We're doing world fusion, but it's predominantly belly dance. And I think that's something for me that just stands out right away. And in like the opening scene, we created this like this canopy of a jungle with leaves and these types of textures and in the costuming and in the production. So I'm often inspired by a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you have a picture, and then because you're in this amazing situation where your composer is right there in your next pillow. So you have this image. So you have this image and you know what you want it to look like. So then do you have that image and you go to Paul and say, okay, Paul, this is my idea.
Yeah.
What do we do now?
I'll tell you, over the last, 10, 15 years, my process has changed a lot. So it's hence the name evolution, hence the name of my company. So is the evolution of my creative process. So with that question, like typically, like back in the day, or the original thing would be like kind of like the music first, then sort of the storyline to fit into the music, and then the choreography and the costuming there. So it was like music first. Then later it started to become more like story first, like a storyboard. And then I would kind of have that picture, and then I would bring that picture to the composer. I would ask Paul, this is the idea. This is like the two lovers are coming together, and there's a scene here, and it's like a love story, but then he disappears. So, and then I would talk about how I would do that process. I would talk about moods. It's love, it's sweet, it's innocent. So I give some adjectives. I also talk about tempo. I want this to start very slow and then have a crescendo and end very, very fast. Sometimes I'll suggest some rhythms. Start with a semi, and then you can end with a malfouf or something in sort of these sort of like templates. And now recently, I did something really different where with the Jungle Book, I was getting to my deadline. The show was coming up. Paul was working on other projects, so he was writing music for me, but I didn't have everything I needed, and I had to start getting my ideas out. I had a dance company. I worked with other dance companies because I needed enough bodies. So I worked with Vero down in Mexico. She has an amazing group of talented dancers. So I was down there doing a workshop. I told her, come in, bring your dancers. Let's do a choreography collaboration together, because I really like her work. She's one of those like standout choreographers. So what I did is I had temp music. So I had temporary music. It sort of had the tempos that I liked. I wanted to use this big piece of fabric. So I brought over the fabric, and we started to create shapes and ideas and concepts. So we sort of choreographed that. Then I brought that video back to Paul. He watched the video, muted the sound, and then composed music to the picture.
Got it.
So it feels like a little bit backwards of the process, but sometimes when you have a deadline and you've got an opportunity to work with a group, all right, let's just keep moving. Let's keep moving forward. And do you know Mia Michaels, the choreographer?
Yes, of course.
You would know her, Chrissy. So I remember an interview with her one day, and she choreographed almost the entire Celine Dion show for Las Vegas without any Celine Dion music. And I couldn't understand, I couldn't grasp that concept. I didn't understand, how do you choreograph without the music? Apparently she did a great job. I saw the show, it was fabulous. So it helped me to think outside the box. Like, oh, I can't do it because I don't have the music. It was like, no, you just keep going. You keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it'll start to flow. And then from that thing, his music came, and then I discovered something, another dimension and another level of my ideas. So sorry, that was kind of a long answer, but I wanted to share that the process, it keeps evolving and changing for me.
And because Tristan and I have been watching, as you know, we've been watching Masterclass, and we've been watching a lot of these music composers, film composers, and often, well, always, isn't it true that the music is the last thing that happens in the movie? So they watch it, they say, okay, and they get with the director, okay, this is the concept, blah, 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 make it happen. And yes, so exactly. So your story and the way that you work that way, it makes perfect sense.
It makes sense, right? And because Paul is a composer for film and television and storytelling. So, for example, when he used to do Samurai Jack, the cartoon, that was a lot of music to a lot of action. So, composing music for dance, sometimes I look like a cartoon to him, but yeah, so could just exactly. It's like telling a story.
Yeah. And I wanted to go to another clip.
Yeah, this is fun. I love these clips.
We're going to go to Phantasm, the Ocean Wings, the Ocean Piece, because I really love the music there. The music is
it's so magical. It's so magical. Yeah.
It just takes you, and that was one of the feedback that we received a lot after the show, that the music was just, surreal. So you've got a lot of things. Tell me about this.
I've got a jellyfish. You're like this, like electric kind of a fish in my vision. Then we've got the sea creatures, and then the two tropical fish in the bright orange. The lime green are the sea creatures, and obviously that big jellyfish is like moving around. And then the mermaid is going to show up. So
yeah. Now, tell us about this. Where did this idea come from? This beautiful fabric.
Oh, I've seen that. Ooh, oh. Yeah. So the original one was coming this way, but I went this way and that way, if you notice. So the original idea came front to back, but I ended up making an edit with the music. And now this is like the wall of water. So we're trying to hide that the ship is entering in, because we wanted to have that reveal. So that's, if you're watching the video, and then you'll see how, like, oh, there's a ship back there. And then of course the fans.
Blue is such a hard color for staging and video. I remember having a very difficult time. But yeah, it looks like
I saw this in a modern dance company. I think I saw it many years ago. I'm not the first person to do it. I'm sure I won't be the last. So I saw that, and they were doing these reveals, and I think I even did it in a couple of shows before that. I'm sure I've used it a couple times. It's so good on so many levels. And let me just tell you a little why. I mean, it's this big visual. You can do a reveal. I think when we did it in Alice in Wonderland, it was a reveal of the caucus race. So suddenly we would creep out behind the fabric, and we were hiding, and suddenly we would come out under the wave, and we appeared like magically on the stage. So again, there's just another fun idea to create something. And to be honest, I'm going to tell you another tip to the choreographers out there. You can travel with a big ball of fabric. I don't really have a huge budget to have this big set design and things flying in from this and that, and carry these heavy props and things. So I have to get creative, and fabric is one of the ways I get creative with it. So I created this whole ocean scene. It's so obvious, with all the fish, and then all the jellyfish, and then the water is just, it's so obvious in the way the silk moves. So
let's move to I'm staying on that genre of props, because the way that you use your props is really like very simple. It's simple, but they look stunning. And I remember when we first started rehearsing, and I saw this in the rehearsal video, it was
what the heck is that?
It was hula hoops. I'm like, what are we doing with these hula hoops? I couldn't get it.
That's a hardcore. It's called the whales. And the story here is Sinbad lands on an island, and suddenly the island starts to come up, and it's actually a giant whale. So that's sort of the picture there, and it's hard to tell in this tiny video, but the silk is painted. The top part is sort of painted as an island, and then the rest of it is blue, and it has this giant eye of the whale. So it's a little bit subtle, and I don't try to produce everything like this is a big whale and you have to have the tail, and sometimes it's just more subtle and a little bit abstract, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what this is there are two silk veils, and then we created like a little a space that you could funnel like a half of a hula hoop. So we took a hula hoop, cut it, and then opened it up so you could thread it through so you could move it. And so it creates like that hoop. And then the silk just flies around it. So we started getting this idea with a prop. I think it was Lauren's idea. She came and we were trying all different versions of it. Big hoops, small hoops, little hoops, long silk, short silk. So we had a lot of versions of it. This is, I think, the sort of the final version. And we just got in the studio and started playing with it. What can we do with it? What are the risk? What are the risk factor in that movement?
Exactly,
and what's going to happen here? Because they're sort of threaded in on the hoop. So if they're not anchored down, when you start spinning, they fly off. So that's happened. So it's just trial and error, and it's fun because you get to be playful. It's like being a child and you get to play with this prop and discover things and try shapes and pictures. And I bring dancers, I invite friends in, and we just play and people discover things and try different things. And that's something that I'm still working on. Like when I just did the Jungle Book, I thought, well, I've got a limit of things I can travel with. I want to use props. I love the idea of props. So how can we come up with these ideas to use them in a new way? And sometimes it's just a classic way. Like we're playing finger cymbals in the new show. And that's just a classic way. Nothing crazy happens. Well, we do have like a giant cymbal there. So that's fun. I don't want to give it all away. But so sometimes it's just a classic way to use a prop. And then sometimes I get these props and I try to like tweak them a little bit and play with them and figure that out and try different things. Like with the butterfly, we have like the silk butterfly wings, but that they're actually they're like 3D. They're like different panels. They're together with like fishing wire. It's kind of hard to describe, but what happens is the two butterflies kind of layer up here. Oh, our crystal balls. Birds and
so tell me about, these crystal, what are they? I thought they were snake eyes.
No, this is actually in the story. These are the diamonds.
The what? Say that again.
The snakes and the birds are sort of like vying over the diamonds, or these like really valuable diamonds. The diamonds came in. So as part of the story, and again, I get a little bit abstract. Not everybody would know that is happening in the story, because some of those, 1001 Nights, those stories are kind of weird. Some of them are just really weird. There's a snake and the birds, and they're fighting, and in the end, Sinbad's trying to get the diamonds away. So it's a little bit abstract, but I thought it was really visually beautiful, and it suited the music because the music just drops down and these vocals come in, and I thought it was just a little bit of magic.
Yeah, and it looks amazing. I mean, so you ask the dancers to improvise just any slow movements, and it's really lovely just how the props are taken off stage so seamlessly.
Let me touch on that, because that's a big thing in my rehearsal process. Is every time there is a prop or anybody has a suggestion, the first thing I say, well, how's it going to get off stage?
Yeah.
You got this great idea, but it's like, you can't just leave that giant thing sitting in the middle of the stage. So I always think about that. How does it get on, and who's going to take it off? And it has to be part of the choreography from day one. So I'm really particular about that, because it's kind of weird when you just see everything like, sitting on the stage and you're distracted. You keep looking at it like, is somebody going to step on that thing? Or somebody comes and it just gets off really clunky. And I think the inspiration I got from that is Cirque du Soleil. I'm a super fan, like a super mega fan. I think I've seen all the shows. And it's something that I always loved, is that the artist and all of the members of the show were part of the setup for, like, when they do the big circus sticks, and they have to put the nets underneath. As they would do, they were still in costume, and they would be tying up the net, and they would make it in part of their character. So it's something I do. For example, when I bring my tabla player on, the drummer, I have the dancers bring his chair and his microphone. And I say, just do it as if you're part of the scene, not just like sneaking out or, because we used to usually have the tech guy do it. And the tech guy's sitting there like, do I bring the microphone out? I said, no, you just stay there the whole time. Don't go on my stage, please. So I like to integrate that with everyone sees it anyway. So let's make it part of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go into a clip of Savage from Phantasm and with Hader. And I just wanted to, let's go back a little bit, Bobby.
Hader created such a magical drum solo. He composed this piece and the vision came. Really, he's such a great composer.
Yeah, I know. He goes, you're in light. There we go. Whee!
Yeah.
But this was actually one of my most favorite pieces in Phantasm because it's so powerful and well, the name says it all, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a drum solo, but it's not your usual drum solo. So it's got story. It's got. So can you tell us a little bit about the?
So Sinbad is on another island. Big surprise. So he's on another island, and then the savages are there. So they're trying to get him. They're cannibals. They're trying to get him to eat him. So it's this sort of like a chasing scene, and we're trying to capture him. And at one point he escapes, and then he comes back, and I pretend I'm sleeping, and he wakes me up. And then I sort of put this I put a spell on him and he follows me. And so it's really fun. And that was a really fun thing to choreograph and collaborate with. And when Kapua came into the show, I knew that he did Tahitian and I knew that he was really good at it. So I said, hey, what about like a percussion piece together? Like, let's think about it. He's like, yeah, cool. I said, all right, we met at the studio. And I just pulled up some stuff on my laptop. Actually, the section that him and I do is by Isam. Right. And I played a track and I was like, what do you think of this? Yeah, I like that. Okay. So we went in the studio. Poof. Yeah, that's when I put him under my spell.
Oh, the spell.
I blow smoke on him. Don't worry, it's just baby powder. So something light and something I can travel with. Now,
baby
some of this is his choreography and my like the arms are his because I said, tell me the movements that you can do and I can follow you. So he can do a shimmy. He can do an ami, of course. He can do undulations because he's also a hip hop dancer. But we made this sort of collaboration of me doing some of the tough Tahitian stuff. And then him look at those like hip circles of his. Oh my God. It's amazing. And then here we did a little bit of like Tahitian and hip hop. We just kind of like got funky with it. But I think that piece was one of my all-time favorite collaborations because there was so much flow between us. Hey, how about this? Oh, I love that. How about that? Oh, I love that. And we just like knocked it out.
This was insane.
So he does the farapus with the legs, and I do the farapus.
People went wild.
Obviously, look at his strength and his power. Like his power is amazing. Yeah. And then he's got he's one of the first guys that really does great hip work, but he's also got that that Tahitian vibe. That
that softness.
This was a fun piece to do. Yeah. Nice. And then doing it with the girls, like it's a very different choreography. And then after that, Hader brings us into like a 13 count. And I was like working on the choreography and I couldn't get it. I was like, Lauren, get in the room. I need you. Like she's my counter. So she's like a percussionist. She went to Berkeley School of Music. So she was a great collaboration on that choreography. That was fun to bring that back. Thank you for showing that. Reliving that makes me smile.
I have another question from Virginia. How have you cultivated emotional resilience to see the project come to fruition? So with all your projects, there's so much emotion attached to it. So yeah, how do you
Is it like my emotion or the emotion from my dancers?
yours
Yeah.
or both?
Yeah. I think that's an excellent question. I think, I've always danced for the love of dance because I'm passionate about it. I've been fortunate enough to make a living at it, to have it as a full-time job. But I would don't tell anybody, but I would also do it for free because I just love it so much. It's like, I have to do this. I have to do this. You know what I mean? So it's something inside me that I love it so much. And, with Belly Dance Evolution, it is definitely a labor of love. I don't, I earn money in my other workshops and things, and then I invested right back into Evolution because that is really like a labor of love as a project, as a creative project. So I think just being in love with it and seeing how it's opened up opportunities for dancers, how it's opened up opportunities for me to connect with dancers from around the globe, because it is a cultural exchange. I bring this project around the globe and we collaborate with dancers in other parts of the world. So it's just been a wonderful opportunity for me. And I think it's also been an opportunity for the dance community around the globe, that they get to train with me and my style and my team. I bring in the A players, I bring in the best of the best. And I'm so proud to have that collaboration. I think I would just say, on the other perspective of the dancers, is we do something really special. Is we have Circle Time. And Circle Time has transformed my company. I think it transforms the way we work as a unit, because we start in a circle, we share some really deep things together. We're all leveled, we all sit on the floor and we all talk and share deep things in a safe place. And what that does is it creates emotional investment from everybody. So, when somebody doesn't have their arm in the right spot, they're not getting the right spot, like, you're a little bit more sympathetic because you know that she just broke up with her boyfriend, like she's got stuff going on with her today. So you want to go over, instead of like, get your arm in the right spot, you're like, hey, let me show you that arm, let me help you. So it creates empathy, it creates low battery mode, we're still going. So it creates more empathy, and I think just emotional investment. And that creates that magic on the stage and with the group. And it's something I'm really proud to be cultivating that and sharing that with my community and sharing that with the next generation of dancers and choreographers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing that I think if we can name any major belly dancers of the world, and if we would say, oh, would you like to work with Jillina, I think everyone would be like, yes, yes, yes. It's you've created this amazing relationship with so many dancers everywhere, and we would all be our dream come true to work with you. I wanted to also share this little clip from our 2014 Dark Side of the Crown.
Yes.
And you remember you had such an amazing cast. Keishi's watching. Hey, Keish. And Sharon.
Okay.
and that you work with all these amazing dancers. And I want to show you your little solo, because we were talking about your hip hop background and how you bring all your dance history into your shows.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's hard to watch myself. Whoa.
Oh no, don't say that. It's actually this I love this.
Fun piece. That was like a really cool piece of music too. And then working with Sharon and Keishi, like that just brought up the ideas. That was a really fun collaboration too. I really had, like, I remember I worked so hard on that because it was a little out of my comfort zone.
And
right. I also wanted to highlight, the leads of the show, which obviously Sharon and Keishi. So I came in with some really, like, some ideas, and I really wanted to see them through. And then of course I wanted to hear their perspective. And yeah, it's hard to look back at myself. I don't like watching myself on video. But,
so here you've got Keishi from New York, and you have Sharon from Portland. So this piece was a collaboration between the three of you. So how, I mean, this was before Zoom even started. So how did this come about?
Honestly, we would send videos of each other, send the videos ahead of time with accounts, and this is what it is. And then we get in the studio and we have to like really have some hard focus time and get it together. So that's always challenging with these type of pieces, because especially as the director, I need to have eyes on the team, working with the team. So also I need to put my time into rehearsal. And I always felt like I was struggling between that I was trying to always find a balance with that. And now I'm slowly being more of a cameo in the show. Like if you notice in Phantasm, I don't have as many parts as I used to have in the other show. And I love that. I love that I can spend more time dedicated to the team, and that I can show up when I'm needed. I don't need to be in that, in all the shows. So I'm really enjoying that part of it.
And going back to the when we talked about costuming, and when you have a particular scene, and in all your productions, do you say, okay, this piece of music and this choreography, this has this costume? How do you go about picking your costumes for your pieces?
Nowadays, like now it's everything is custom made for the specific piece. So usually I have like a kind of a concept and a vision. Like I knew that I wanted to do in the new jungle scene, for example, I wanted to have like leaves. I wanted the opening scene. I want the dancers to be the jungle, the leaves and the forest, and all the trees. And so I started like buying fabrics and ideas, and then I was working with a costume designer. I worked a lot with Emily on the new Jungle Book. So I would kind of have an idea and a concept, and then take it to a professional. They sketch it out, and then you kind of talk about those things. And a lot of the times I buy all the fabrics because I'm really picky about it. And this is another pro tip for the directors out there is choose your fabric. Like spend more money on fabric than rhinestones, because good fabric can go a long way. It can give beautiful shape. It can fit really well on everyone. A good color that looks good on everyone. A nice stretch, something that also has movement, so that it's going to flow when you move or you turn or shimmy. So you got to make sure. And then the other dimension of all of those qualities, specifically for me, because I have to carry all of it. I literally carry all of it, all those luggages. It has to be lightweight. So it has a whole criteria of list of things that I have to have. So, here's resolution drum.
Okay, so this is the okay, all right. So this is the resolution drum. We have candid. I think this was we picked this as an example of staging.
Oh, this was fun, like the pack, and then we come down the pack, that big circle. And I was just talking about this today with someone, with a sponsor, who was talking about how can we bring in a local dance company. And I said, well, it was really successful in Australia. In some other places, it wasn't as successful. I'll just say it like that. I mean, because you were like such a great leader with them. The rehearsals were well done. They were filmed. We got to get feedback before I arrived. So the local dancers, there was like a local troupe that got to come in and dance this part of our show. So that was really special. And look at those beautiful costumes. I was so impressed.
Well, one of the dancers here, Prue, she designed them, and all the girls really loved it.
The circles are going two different ways.
Oh,
and then it also the music has to speed up, and then they all have to land the cannon. We go a cannon across. And then present, ta-da, the big ta-da at the end.
And we had dancers from all over Australia coming in to do that. That was a really special little project for them.
Yeah. And you know what? Actually, when I created the Jungle Book, I actually had that concept in mind because of your idea, Chrissy. So thank you for that idea. And so now there's a piece in the Jungle Book and in the ending drum where it's choreographed specifically for a group, a guest group, and they actually dance on stage with all of us at the same time. So there's a piece that the group comes in, and then we come in, and it's really cool. So I'm also keep trying to reinvent it. At the same time, I have to keep the high level of the integrity of the show. So it's always a balance of that, because I want people to expect that high level from me, and I want to expect that from the dancers that come into my projects, that it's going to be challenging. And so I feel like I'm finding a good balance of that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember saying to the Australian cast here, okay, this is what Jillina expects. She's pretty zippity doo dah. You have to have this, la 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 la. Not, you know, not to scare them, but just to give them.
Right.
I don't know if how many people actually know your work process and how you work and your expectations. That yes, you love working with everyone and you're very welcoming, but you also have a really high expectation of people,
I think that's key. Exactly.
and they have to deliver.
Just that word, expectations, being clear about what you expect. And I think you did that with those dancers.
Yeah, and that's why it was. It worked really seamlessly, and the girls were comfortable. The nerves weren't. You know, I mean, sure they had nerves, but they weren't like super scared because they didn't know what to expect. I said, okay, Jillina's going to come in. She's going to expect you to hit your spots, know your staging, know your cues, get your timing right. So they knew what to expect. So they came in really quite relaxed, and they nailed it. Like the first time, they nailed it. So that was really nice.
I was just so impressed. I was like, all right, put the music on. All right. Oh, all right. You just take an extra step. You move in closer. I was like, you guys got this. Yeah, that was really, really good. Because I walked into other rehearsals, I was like, they don't know the choreography. Oh no.
Yeah, and I've seen that Jillina face before, and I don't like to be on the receiving end of that. I've been there, and I don't like it. So I didn't want
videos.
I didn't want the other girls to to experience that. So that was. But you know what? That's reality, and that's what it is to work in a dance company. You have to do your homework. You need to, know what's happening. And I think it's really interesting that every time we've done BDE, there's always maybe one or two people that don't really know. They don't really get it until the second day, and they go, "Oh, right, this is what it is."
I think I keep learning and growing every time I do a production. Every time, even at the same production, year after, every time I show up with the group, I learn something new. So I've really streamlined the process, and we're using a program called Teachable, and the dancers get their training videos, a month ahead of time, so they can learn at their own pace. If you're not a fast learner, you can still be part of this project. You just have to put the time in. If you're a fast learner, it'll just be faster for you. So you have your training videos, you videotape yourself, you get coaching from me and my team way ahead of time, so that when we show up, we all know what's going on. We all know what's expected. We all know where the strengths are and where the weaknesses are. Oh, we're going to need to work on that piece a lot. So we all kind of have those talks with the directors. So I think that I keep streamlining that process each and every time. And I feel really good about where we are now with the programs that we're using. The feedback is really good. Like they're very easy to use. So it's been a great tool to use the technology.
Yeah, and you're so clever in the way that you do use your technology. And I have to give a shout out to your support team, Lauren and Saba, because they work overtime when there's a production on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Luna too. She's stepping up, and the directors too. So it's been so and the great thing is they've worked with me for so many years that they really understand my expectations. They really know what I'm looking for. I trust their decisions. They trust my decisions. So we've really massaged things a lot. I can sit with them and have a conversation and say, all right, this is our strengths, this is our weaknesses. We're going to go in, and this is our game plan. And it feels really good to have that. Yeah. And Jill has been a big part of our productions over the years. And she's also, if you don't know, she works with Sahlala and also directs my local dance company. So Jill has been an amazing team member to have on the staff. So
yeah, I remember Jill was so, I mean, all of the directors were wonderful when we were in, so supportive and just there for us. And it's really important to have that connection with a new cast of dancers because, you know, nerves, and some people are very shy, but the girls, Jill and Luna, are very, very welcoming and sweet and understanding that there's a lot of nerves, there's a lot of stress. So, so that's really important to have as well, empathy for what's happening with us as well. Let's wrap it up, Jillina, and let's talk about
it's my bedtime.
It's your bedtime. Yeah. It's your bedtime dinner time. So this is your Fusion Evolution workshop for Aussie dancers on July 19th at 10 a.m. Sydney time, or 8 a.m. Perth time. And you can
Los Angeles, it's going to be Saturday the 18th at 5 p.m. So it's a little tricky when you go to Eventbrite. So I'm teaching the same exact choreography on 2 different times. But depending if you're in the future in Australia, that's going to be on the 19th, because I'm going to teach it again on the 19th at 10 a.m. in Los Angeles time. So it got a little confusing. So make sure when you register for the Australia time. It's written there. So.
And if you have any problems, just make sure you contact one of us, and easily get jillina.eventbrite.com. And also there is a reduced fee for COVID affected artists. So be sure to take advantage of that if you again struggling financially. And it's going to be a fantastic, can't wait, because we'll see another dimension to Jillina's work. And
this is going to be really weird and different. I was rehearsing today. I was like, oh my God, this is so fun and weird. And I really had to practice the content because it's not my typical vocabulary. And just also note that make sure that once you register, and I think we send it out about a week before, I have an inside look. So I'm going to give you a mini tutorial of one of the hardest sections of the choreography. So check it out. Don't wait till 10 minutes before the workshop. Work on it like the night before at least. Trust me, you'll need some time with it. And that's why I'm giving you this little extra tutorial. I break it down, I do it with counts, and I do it with music. And if you want to meet earlier, we meet about 30 minutes earlier, and we're going to do circle time, and it's just a rapid fire check-in. We may not get to everybody depending on how many dancers we have with us, but it's a great way to just touch base with dancers around the globe and share some personal insights to our experiences. And if you don't know, #TogetherWeMoveLive is a program that helps to support the belly dance economy. So if you're registering in Australia, you're supporting the belly dance economy in Australia. And we're also having Dance Garden from Los Angeles. And
and I wanted to mention that part of our Half Dance Studio income will also go to Amira's Palace here in Sydney, who are an iconic belly dance boutique and studio. They've been around for over 20 years, and it's one of our meccas, our belly dance mecca here in Sydney. And they've been doing it rough, of course, and we want to do something and help Ali and Amira's Palace.
Amira's Palace is I mean, I heard about Amira's Palace before I ever went to Australia. It was that, if you don't realize how important it is for just the global belly dance community, and owning a studio during the COVID crisis has not been an easy thing. You continue to pay rent and your studio is empty. So it's really important to understand that support, helping her, helping Ali, helping Amira's Palace, is helping the future of belly dance in Australia. So it goes a long way, and it's really, really appreciated to continue to support each other in these ways. So I feel honored to be a part of the team, and I can't wait to freak you guys out with some new groovy stuff. It's going to be fun. So just come with an open mind and an open heart.
Let's also mention your Facebook Live. That you're going to give us a sneak peek as well. So tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm going to pop up tomorrow for a Facebook Live on my Jillina fan page. And I'm going to be doing a little tutorial on a different section. The inside look is special once you register. So this is just another little section, a little inside of some really cool stuff that I want to do. I just wanted to share, give you guys some tools and give you a step up before you show up into the Zoom. So we'll see you, definitely see you on the live in Facebook. And it'll stay up online. So you can catch it later and your time zone.
Yes, because I can't do yours.
Well, you'll be up. You're always up at
Well,
2 o'clock in the morning.
I know, but that's when I'm in my pajamas and, no, that's
okay,
not a good
Facebook
look.
Live, they can't see
Well,
you.
that's right. No one can see you. That's right. Of course. Thank you so much, Jillina. As always, we can chat for hours and hours, but, no one wants to watch us for hours and hours.
Yeah. Thank you, Christy. Great questions. Really inspiring.
Thank you. And thank you to my husband for the setup today. He's over there. Wait, where is he? Wait,
he's over here. This is better. Hey, there he is. Hi,
and this new setup of streaming on Facebook, which is
and is this going to be live on your Facebook so I can reshare?
Yeah,
the whole thing?
absolutely.
Okay.
So we're going to keep the recording when and also upload it to YouTube as well. So it'll be here forever, so people can check back if they missed out. So big hugs from Sydney. Say big hugs.
See you on Sunday.
See you on Sunday 19th. And here's a little where is it? Here's a little clip again for those who missed it at the beginning, because Tristan is here and I have to my tech support. So where's my final goodbyes? And then the video will come up. All right, let's do a sashimi.
Ciao.
Bye.